China again accusing the U.S. of starting the current war over tariffs, inflicting turmoil on markets and trade. Beijing telling Washington that if it wants resolution through dialogue, it needs to stop exerting, quote, maximum pressure. China repeating its position that while it does not want a fight, it will not back down from one either.
如果美方真的想通过对话谈判解决问题，就应该停止 极限施压那一套，停止威胁讹诈，在平等、尊重、互惠的基础上同中方对话。
China appointing a new trade envoy as the new Vice Minister of Commerce, 58-year-old Li Chenggang will assume the role of representative for international negotiations over trade. CNA's Deborah Wong looks at the challenges that Mr. Li will face.
Over his 28 years at China's Ministry of Commerce, Li Chenggang was involved in the 2020 US-China trade deal talks during Trump's first administration. He was China's ambassador to the World Trade Organization and deputy representative to the UN.
He should be having a very good knowledge of how the global trade system work, and second, how the rules-based trade and arbitration system under the WTO. Appointing Mr. Li is a good thing because it probably will raise the chance of China getting what it wants in its negotiations with the US or maybe even with EU or with some other economies or blocs.
But the negotiations Mr. Li will face this time round will be far more complex than they were 5 years ago. Not only will talks with the United States be trickier, China's relations with other trading partners are also likely to be tougher than in the past. With the prospects of China exporting more cheap products to other markets, especially to the Belt and Road member countries, it could fuel anti-China sentiments among the local population.
Everyone wants to have their own industries. So I think fundamentally, Beijing will need to listen to those voices as well, not only from Trump, and need to sit down and do more about global trade balancing, because China is so big, way bigger than 2018-19, and the trade exposure of China to the world is bigger. Manufacturing is 30% of the GDP now. China is potentially still a problem for some, if not all.
Even as it maintains maximum pressure on China, continuously increasing the tariff rates, the White House said the ball is in China's court.
China has been on various occasions project some sort of a goodwill to the US. This began when Trump became president in January, and there are reports of some lower level engagements among Chinese and US officials. But apparently, what China is getting is sort of a confusing message from the US administration. At this stage, we really need to see Trump really respecting China and treating trade negotiations with China very seriously.
China has so far maintained a brave front, saying it does not want to fight, but it is not afraid of a fight either. Analysts suggest that a slowdown in the US economy or other domestic challenges may be needed before President Trump is likely to back down. The new Chinese trade representative can only hope that the situation will change in the coming months, allowing him to negotiate in a more favorable position. Deborah Wong, CNA, Hong Kong.